Hi, I'm Linda Campbell. I'm a registered clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm doing a bit of an online experiment here. For the last few weeks, I have been coming on weekly to report my progress with weight loss, and I'm taking off weight without using any diet methods whatsoever. As a hypnotherapist, I believe that your weight has oftentimes more to do with what's going on with you internally than with the choices that you're making around food and exercise. Not that I think food and exercise isn't important, but I think that sometimes people are seeking to change externally when, in fact, if you change what's going on within yourself, those external changes happen naturally. I personally don't believe in diets. I think that diets are responsible for body image issues, for self loathing, for obsession with food, and ironically, for weight gain. And so, what I'm going to be doing over this time that I'm posting these videos is I'm working with my partner, Arnie Peterson, who's also a registered hypnotherapist, and we're doing weekly hypnosis sessions on me to help me to understand what's behind my weight, work through it, and prove that it's possible to take weight off without focusing on being on a diet. So, since last time I reported in a week ago, my weight is down. I'm now at 162, which is 1.5 pounds roughly down from where I was last week. I think what's been going on is I've actually been working on some internal stuff, which I am still in the process of working through. And as a result, I'm wanting to do some things differently on the outside. So last time I was online, what I reported was that I'd had some insights as a result of my last hypnotherapy session, two things really that kind of fit together and are responsible for me hanging on to weight. One of those insights was around how I've always felt sort of a sense of insecurity in a relationship. I've always wanted the relationship to be solid and secure. I wanted the proposal. I wanted to know the guy was going to stick around. I wanted some kind of guarantee, some kind of promise. And this has been something that has been ongoing for me. And I could trace it back. I understand exactly where it came from. And that's not important for me to get into here. What's important is just recognizing that that's a pattern that I've had. A second thing that I've noticed, and these two are a wonderful, really great combination, is that I tend to attract people that aren't necessarily healthy for me. So I think because I've wanted that sense of security, a feeling like I belong to somebody, a feeling like I know there's going to be somebody in my life sort of forever, I've settled, quite honestly, for some people who weren't necessarily good for me, but because they showed an interest or because they said the things I wanted to hear or made the promise, I went for it. And so what's happening now is I'm in a long-term serious relationship with somebody who is committed to me and to whom I am committed. But I believe that what happens when I get into those situations, because the same thing happened when I got married or when I was approaching getting married, is my body goes, okay, we finally have the relationship we want. We don't want to do anything to screw this up. So hang on to some weight. And I know that doesn't make any sense up here. But I think what my subconscious thinks is if I take weight off, I'm going to attract male attention. And in the past, I haven't been particularly good at selecting people for myself. And so it's best not to put myself in that position. It's best not to risk it. Maybe I won't say no. Maybe I won't make a good choice. I haven't made good choices in the past. And so the solution here, hang on to weight, and then I'll never have to be in that situation. And so that was the realization that I've had last week. And since then, I've been working on that. What do I mean by working on it? I do a lot of journaling. When we're writing, here's a little tip for people who want to take in suggestion or create change in their life more easily. When we're writing, we actually go into a light trance state. When we're writing, the physical act of moving the pen or pencil, it's very kinesthetic. That's a learning style for some people. It's also a visual thing because we're seeing the words that we're writing out. And of course, we repeat the words inside our mind. So the three learning styles are visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And so when you're writing, you're actually meeting all those various learning styles, which means that what you're writing is really being taken in. It's being absorbed because all your learning styles are activated. And so what you're writing is being integrated more easily. So I've been writing, journaling a lot about those insights, basically telling myself that, I can make healthy choices, that my happiness is not dependent on having somebody in my life, just trying to get a sense of my own security. Freudian slip, coming from within myself instead of from some external means. So I've been doing some writing around it. I also take advantage of the fact that we go into a natural hypnotic state before we fall asleep every night to give myself suggestions at that time. So here's another little trick, little mind hack. When we fall asleep, our brainwave levels slow down. So we start out in beta, which is wide awake, and we go down into delta, which is asleep, and we pass through alpha and theta on the way down, which is where meditation and hypnosis occur. Now, what that means is that whatever you're thinking about as you pass through that state actually gets deposited into your subconscious mind, just like a hypnotic suggestion. So a little trick, again, if you want to achieve something in your life, is to give yourself positive suggestions as you're falling asleep. And make sure that you focus on what you want, stating it in a positive way, instead of focusing on what you don't want. For example, if I was focusing on I'm not insecure, my mind is hearing insecure, insecure, because the thing that I don't want is being said. So instead, I want to focus on I have confidence, I'm secure within myself, that sort of thing. So I've been doing some hypnosis on myself as I fall asleep. I've been doing some writing, and I also talk to myself a lot in the car. So those of you who have ever driven somewhere and you get to your destination and go, how the heck did I get here? What's happening there is we go into a natural trance state. Your logical mind is off somewhere else while your subconscious just drives the vehicle. In those natural trance states, again, whatever we say to ourselves, whatever we're thinking gets deposited into the subconscious mind. So oftentimes when I'm driving, I take advantage of the fact that I'm in a natural trance state to deliver suggestions to myself. I've also, on a couple of occasions, listened to the recording of the last session that I did with Arnie that speaks exactly about, these particular issues that I've been struggling with. And so I feel like what's happening is as a result of doing all this extra work on my inner stuff, it's translated into me making some different choices in the external world. And so I'm excited about kettlebell. I'm excited to actually exercise more vigorously. And I'm feeling better about myself, and as a result, making better choices with food. Now, this is a video all about being honest and being truthful, and so here it is. I'm still struggling in this area of my security. I'm not going to try to tell you that 1 week of writing in my journal and doing some hypnosis has all of a sudden made me feel secure within myself. It doesn't work that way. And I think this is really important for people to understand. Because when people come for hypnosis, they often come to work on their self-esteem or their insecurities or their self-confidence. And they think that I'm just going to put them in my hypnosis chair and I'm going to tell them, you're confident, you have great self-esteem, and all of a sudden it'll be different. But it doesn't work that way. It's an ongoing process. And so here's what happened for me. I've been having a pretty good week. I've been feeling pretty good about myself. I've been doing all this work. I'm also doing a lot of exciting things in my business as well. So life is just really humming along. Relationship is great. Everything's wonderful. Until yesterday. Yesterday, my partner met with an ex-girlfriend of his, somebody that he hasn't dated in probably 15 years. But I know that this was the person that he dated right after his marriage ended, and so it was somebody that he was really attached to at the time. And in fact, for several years after they broke up, he was still kind of pining over her, wishing that they could be in a relationship. So they connected. She contacted him out of the blue. She's married. She has a kid. Kid's a few years old. He's with me. I know up here, there's nothing I should be worried about. And he arranges to get together with her. Now, he brings her to the office, or has her meet him here. This is our office. He knows I'm in this space. He's not doing anything secretive. It's not like he didn't tell me. It's not like he went somewhere secretive where I wouldn't be around. And in fact, he even, when my door was open at one point, made a gesture to introduce us, although I was like, man, I don't really want to meet her. So this occurred and I handled it. I wasn't upset by it. But when I got home, there was a little bit of tension. I think I was almost scared to look at him to see if he was really excited that he'd had an opportunity to reconnect with this girl. And I was actually nervous that he would be affectionate towards me or, kind of kissy towards me. Because what my mind was thinking is, oh yeah, you get your appetite somewhere else and then come home to eat. In other words, maybe he would only be acting that way towards me because she somehow inspired it. We managed to make it through the night, no big deal. thought I was doing fine. This morning there was a brief little trigger because at one point, meaning to give me a compliment, what he told me was that after meeting with her, he was really grateful for me in his life, that when he spent time with her, it actually gave him a headache. It made him feel really drained, and he realized that there's absolutely no feeling there for her whatsoever. Now, my mind should have heard, I'm happy to be with you. But what my mind actually heard was, I don't even know. I focused on the fact that he had had all this interest in being with her for so long, and it was almost like he had to test out whether he still had interest in her. I don't even know what happens up here because it's just such a completely illogical reaction. So there was a bit of a glitch. I felt myself pulling back, but I was able to push through that, go give him a hug, let him know that I was grateful for him in my life as well. And it seemed as though everything was great until I went to borrow his computer. I've had this song stuck in my head. My computer is super slow. His computer was already on. It was honestly perfectly innocent. I turn on his screen and his email is up. And the very first email at the top of the list was an unopened email from this person. And when it shows up on the list, of course, the content of the email shows up underneath. And being me, I read it. And there was nothing in there that should have upset me. She thanked him for recommendations for some energy work that she did on herself, said we had a great office, acknowledged that it was my office as well. But the last line was about she hoped that they could get together again soon. And I instantly reached out and deleted it. And then felt super guilty. He came in, I wanted to let him know, but he was eager to get on to work. I didn't want to start a thing. I was feeling so stupid that I had reacted that way, and so I left. But about 2 or 3 minutes into my drive to work, I just couldn't keep it secretive anymore, and I actually sent him a text message because I felt so stupid I didn't even want to phone him, and basically confessed to what I had done, acknowledged it, apologized for it. So it's embarrassing to admit this here, but I'm admitting it because I think I'm not the only person. And I think that the only way we can change something about ourselves is if we acknowledge it within ourselves. And so I'm hoping that by shining some light on this part of myself that is insecure, that does get fearful, that feels afraid of being abandoned, afraid of being betrayed, by really sitting with that part and understanding it, that there's the possibility of healing it. I know that my reaction has nothing to do with how he feels about me. I know that my reaction has nothing to do with real life, what's actually going on between us. I know that my reaction has everything to do with some unresolved thing within me that needs to be worked through. And so that's my work for this week. My work is to go even deeper into myself and talk to that part that gets afraid. Talk to that part that's afraid to be abandoned, afraid to be lied to, afraid to be hurt, and to continue sort of chipping away at that until such time that I can, joyfully encourage him to connect with people without feeling any kind of twinge of jealousy or insecurity. So that's where I am right now. And again, I feel it's completely related to my weight. I think that we eat to comfort ourselves. We eat to have a protective buffer so that we don't get hurt. We eat to cover up our feelings. We eat to numb what it is we feel. And so in order to take weight off, I think we got to quit doing all of that. We've got to allow ourselves to feel what it is we feel. And this morning it wasn't pleasant. This morning I had this reaction, this feeling of insecurity, this feeling of jealousy that made me do something that was basically a violation of his privacy. But if I wasn't admitting it, if I wasn't acknowledging it, if I was just shoving it down with food or covering it up or distracting myself with food, if I was wearing the protective buffer of weight, then there's no growth in that. There's only a continued pattern of carrying more weight than I want. And so it's almost like when you unburden yourself emotionally, when you deal with those emotional burdens, you actually unburden physically. And here's the weird thing. I suspect that having had that reaction and having admitted it to him, and he thankfully is such an awesome guy, he forgave me, said that he recognized that there's an opportunity for growth here for both of us, and was thankful that I admitted it to him. Great guy. So I think that by actually admitting what I did, owning it, I suspect that when I check in next week, my weight's going to be down significantly. That having let go of that burden is actually going to result in my body letting go as well. There is a connection to our internal world and our external world. And I think that as I prove that I don't need to numb what I'm feeling or cover up what I'm feeling or protect myself any longer, my body's just going to naturally let go of the weight. So, true confessions with Linda. There it is. I'm going to check in again next week, let you know where I am at that time. I hope that you're enjoying following these videos. And if you're interested in finding out how hypnotherapy can help you take weight off, how it can help you look at what's responsible for hanging on to it, myself or Arnie would love to talk to you. You can leave me a comment below this video, and I'm happy to send you either one of our emails or contact information so you can get in touch. All right, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.